In a world where we're always connected, we've become afraid of being alone. Solitude is often confused with loneliness, as if silence itself were a threat. But what if the stillness we avoid is actually the very thing we need to become whole? What if the moments we spend alone aren't empty but full of meaning, power and transformation? Today, let's take a journey into the power of solitude, not as an escape, but as a return to clarity, to creativity, to self-knowledge, to peace. Solitude has shaped saints, sages, poets and pioneers. It is not the absence of life, but the deepening of it. The great philosophers have long held that solitude is essential to the examined life. Plato believed that thinking was the highest activity of the human soul, and thinking requires space. Socrates walked the streets of Athens in silence, reflecting before he ever spoke. Aristotle called contemplation the greatest human happiness. Why? Because only in solitude can we listen deeply to our own thoughts, our conscience, and what he called the unmoved mover, that divine spark within. Nietzsche went further. He said, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe." He believed solitude was a mark of strength, that the greatest thinkers needed time away from the crowd to form original thoughts, to live according to their own values. Philosophy, at its core, is about knowing oneself, and that knowledge does not come from noise, from popularity, or from following the herd. It comes from within. And to hear that inner voice, we must be willing to retreat from the world, even just for a while. Modern psychology now confirms what ancient wisdom always knew. Solitude isn't dangerous, it's healing. Psychologist Carl Jung often emphasized the importance of withdrawing from external stimuli to explore the depths of the unconscious mind. He wrote, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Solitude activates the brain's default mode network, the part responsible for deep thinking, memory consolidation, self-awareness and problem solving. When we are constantly distracted, our brains stay in task mode. We react, but we don't reflect. In solitude, the mind integrates. It connects the dots. It recovers. Studies show that people who practice intentional solitude, time without devices, social obligations or entertainment, have higher levels of emotional regulation, creativity and mental clarity. It's also linked to reduced anxiety and better decision-making. In solitude, you're not performing, you're not comparing, you're just being, and from that place, we can begin to understand our patterns, heal old wounds, and reconnect with our deeper desires. Solitude is not only psychological, it's profoundly spiritual. In every tradition, the sacred has been found in silence. The Buddha left behind his palace and sat in meditation under the Bodhi tree alone. Jesus withdrew into the desert for 40 days. Muhammad received the Quran in the solitude of a cave. Moses heard the voice of God alone on a mountaintop. Even the prophet Elijah heard God not in thunder, but in a still, small voice. Why? Because the soul speaks softly. The noise of the world drowns it out. The ego yells, but the spirit whispers. Solitude is where the noise fades, and the whisper becomes clear. Spiritual solitude is not about escaping the world. It's about returning to it with more love, more clarity, more purpose. It is in the quiet that we remember who we are. Not what the world says, but what eternity knows. Even modern spiritual thinkers like Eckhart Tolle and Thomas Merton speak of solitude as the doorway to presence and divine connection. Alone, we remember that we are never truly alone. History proves this over and over. Steve Jobs was known for taking long, silent walks alone. That's where he solved problems, made decisions, and envisioned the future. Albert Einstein used solitude to do what he called combinatory play, just thinking, imagining, letting ideas dance in his mind. Virginia Woolf wrote of the need for a room of one's own, not just for writing, but for freedom. Nikola Tesla said, "The mind is sharper and keener in seclusion and uninterrupted solitude." These weren't hermits, they were creators, visionaries, change makers, and they understood that the mind, like soil, needs time to rest and be still in order to produce its best fruit. So if you're feeling burned out, anxious, or lost, don't rush to fill the silence. Lean into it. Solitude is not about escaping life, it's about meeting it more fully. It teaches you to be okay with yourself, to hear your own thoughts, to walk your own path. It is where your mind sharpens, your heart softens, and your soul expands. In the end, solitude doesn't isolate you from the world. It prepares you to engage with it with greater wisdom, deeper compassion, and an unshakable sense of self. So today, take just a little time. Close the door, silence the noise, and listen, because in the stillness you'll find something beautiful. Yourself. Embrace the power of solitude. Let it heal your mind, nourish your soul, and awaken your true potential. Subscribe now and join us on this transformative journey.